So we've managed to rope Emma into doing a presentation for us today. She's been training the Lindley staff, and we've had quite a bit of success in selling service plans across the company. I think we're up to about, we're 140 odd plans, Emma.
139.
139. I think she was trying to get 140 before here, but
I really was.
couldn't quite get over the line. What's that total revenue worth for us? You got the stats?
It is. Let's have a look. About £30,000.
About £30,000.
Yeah.
So this is something
28.
that we completely believe in is part of the future for independent businesses. I think that we're all dealing with a customer base that is potentially not familiar with service plans. You've probably all been asked by customers dropping out the dealerships. The customer base that the dealerships work within all know what a service plan is. So this is not a new concept to those customers. But the trick here is us teaching our existing customer bases what service plans are all about. From the garage's perspective, it's just about retention. It's about a customer feeling like they're part of a club or part of a membership with some benefits, and just increasing that retention, making sure you don't lose that service work. I see this as something as you don't want to wait before you want to get ahead of the curve with this. You don't want, if this does start to take off in the independent sector, you don't want to look back in 5 years and just think, I wish I got the customers on board with this service plan. Now, this is quite new to us, so we haven't renewed any plans yet, but we're obviously expecting that the renewal of service plans is going to be very straightforward for the customer. There's no reason for them not to do it. So I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to let Emma take over. If you got any, let Emma run through the presentation, because we're going to cut it up, put it onto YouTube so people can watch. Please save any questions after this. There's no time limit. We're just going to drop into a Q&A, and you can ask us. Either the ServiceSplit team is here, or you can ask myself and Emma about Lindley. So over to you, Emma.
Perfect. Thank you. So I will share my presentation. Before we start, I'll just quickly run through the things we're going to cover. So very quickly, we look at just some customer benefits Lindley's have set. So obviously within the plan, you're going to have some sort of benefits. Now, I'll share what we've done, but that's going to be totally specific to your business and what you want to get out of it. So I will get straight stuck in. Right, how do I share a presentation? Here we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Lovely. We'll get straight into it. So our customer benefits then, what we've done is one puncture repair per tyre per year they can have for free. So 3 puncture repairs, but it's only 1 per tyre, and if it's below 3 mil, we're not repairing it, we're going to replace it. Free fluid top-ups, excluding oils, and then just £10 discount off the pricing. So really, really simple benefits. But like for the customer, a lot of it's going to be about that fixed price. But with the puncture repairs, it's quite good to have that in there. We found it, it spots a few opportunities when customers in to get that conversation going. Now, next, what we're going to go through is just a few different approaches we've gone through at Lindley's, because we have trialed quite a few. Some of them are still ongoing, but we'll go through all the different ones we've done. So the first one, and probably the most easiest one, and one I find a really good starting point, is we did a mass mail shot to our customers. Now, this sent a mail shot to all our customers, advising them that we're now doing plans, what the benefits are, and then inviting them to register their interest on our website. Now, we didn't anticipate the success of this at all, because almost overnight we had a big influx of inquiries coming through. I think it was close to 150, 200 that come through. Obviously, our figures, not all of them converted, but it was a really good starting point for us to practice these cold calls-ish to customers. But we got a really big influx through that. So, I'd recommend that as a good starting point. Gets it out to all of your customers, and allows them to register their own interests. So then you've got a nice list of sort of warm leads to then contact. On this next slide, this is just what it looks like from the customer's point of view. So they would receive an email explaining all the benefits and that we're now doing these plans. They've been identified as a valuable customer. Please register your interest online. It then sort of takes them to this contact page on the right-hand side. They can put their details and it just comes through as an email, as a submission to whatever email box you want to set that to. So then we had me and another member of staff working through all these sort of leads together. And like I said, we had some really, really good opportunity to just have these conversations with customers because it was new to us. Like I said, it opened up loads of opportunity for conversation. Helped us find out what our customers wanted from it, why they've expressed interest. Are they from the dealer? Are they not? But then when we advertised this through our Facebook and sort of other marketing channels, what we did notice, which was really interesting, is we had customers that had never used us before inquire about having a service plan. So not only is it really good for our existing customers, but it just proved to us that there is customers out there, not with us at the moment, that are looking for a garage with a plan. And we actually managed to sell a few plans to customers that never used us. So, that told us quite a lot in terms of it's not necessarily down to the loyalty, but what customers are actually looking for. So like I said, that was really, really good one for us, a really good starting point for us to have warm leads to start those conversations. The next bit we went down, also quite similar to sort of mass market, is if you have online bookings, we have fixed service pricing at Lindley's, so it made it slightly easier for us. But if you're doing a service plan, it's going to be built into some sort of fixed price package. In that way, if you are doing that and you have online booking, you can set it up in Garage Hive, so the customer can go on your website and book a service plan online. Now, it won't send it to ServiceSplit automatically, but what it will do is generate an estimate on your system, ready, built up with all the customer details there, ready to send as soon as you've had that conversation. So if we just go through what it looks like on Lindley's website again, this is how it would look. So I put my registration in, gives me the options of service and MOT or just service, and an interim and a full service spread over 10 months. Now, if I selected one of those options, like I said, you would then get a bit more information about what's included in the plan. That's all listed on the website. And then it would come through as an estimate on our system. Now, we get to it later on in the presentation where I'll show you how the estimate sends. But with the Garage Hive integration, it is one button. So the customer puts all their information in on the website. The quote's automatically built up for that plan, and all you press is send plan. There is no admin in between the customer inquiry and sending the plan other than one button. So that integration makes this really, really seamless now. So if you do have the facility for online booking and you are building your plans into some sort of package, then would strongly encourage that. We get quite a lot of inquiries through this, and again, surprising, we get new customers through this. So not only is it for our existing customers, we are proving it to be quite attractive to new customers having this available on our website. And then there's the other side of the coin. So that was our initial sort of mass market engagement, to get really big buzz about it, get loads of hot leads for us to start, having these conversations with customers. But once that had settled down, we started looking at a more targeted sales approach. So, we've got all this data in Garage Hive, we're servicing cars every day, customers are leaving as promoters every day. Why aren't those customers on a plan? So we did an exercise where we then let Amy in. We had a block of data. So say this month's October, we'd go through September, filter by all the service bookings, and then filter them by customers who have left as promoters. So then we got quite a bulk list of customers that we know are really, really happy, and it might just be that they're not aware of service plans, or the front of house at the time didn't get a chance to have that conversation. And that can be numerous things. If you've got a really fast-paced morning in the branch, you might not always get round to having those conversations. Or if customers done online contactless drop-off, anything like that, again, you might not have a chance to have that conversation and you've missed the opportunity with the customer. But this process allows you to gather all those happy customers that ideally should be on a plan. So we had a list to then work through where we could sort of cold call them, thanking them for their positive review and inviting them for a plan. So then we could email them more information over and then get a link sent over. Now, I understand this is quite admin heavy, so it just depends what approach you want to take. So we kind of have two approaches at Lindley's, where one's head office based, when we're identifying customers and contacting them that way, and the other side of the coin is where you are face to face to that customer when they're in branch. So yeah, we had quite a lot of success off that, and again, really nice to speak to our customers post service, get a little bit more feedback, and then offer them this service that they may not have known we were doing. Slideshows just frozen. So yeah, the next method we went down, now I absolutely love this, and I think this is what will absolutely generate the most amount of hot leads through the branch through the day, but it is absolutely down to that person answering the phone, and they need to remember to ask, do you have a service plan? I tried this out myself in branch working on a front counter, took a phone call for a lady that wanted to book in for a service. I asked her, do you have a service plan? And she said, yeah, I mean, I come to you every single year. You've MOT'd my car for 4 years, but I'm not sure what's am I on a plan? And that made that customer feel like they were actively missing out on something, not being on a plan. So I had the opportunity to go through the benefits on the phone, send her an email with the benefits, and then send her the plan over. Now she's activated that plan before she's actually come in for this year's service, and she's already set up the plan for next year. So this, do you have a service plan, is absolutely critical for your advisors taking bookings. We have a central booking coordinator, and we have all our front of house staff. So 2 avenues it can come through. But I imagine if it's just your front of house taking the calls and taking them bookings, this is the question that's going to generate them hot leads. And it has to be consistent. I think where we've learned a lot of lessons from our staff at different sites is the staff that have taken it upon themselves and brought it upon their daily routines and have really got confident with it are having way more success than the staff members who may have shied away from it in the beginning and then have kind of lost confidence with the process since the training. So the consistency around this is absolutely key. The staff need to get confident with it, and the conversations then just become so easy for them from that point. But when you are taking a service booking, before you get any information, asking that question, do you have a service plan, is going to generate more conversations than anything in my eyes. It triggers that thing with the customer. What am I missing out on not having a plan? Again, because we do offer £10 discount on services for customers that are on a plan, we have said to customers, if you activate the plan prior to your booking, you will get £10 discount off this year's service as well. So that's just a nice little touch Lindley's added. But it's whatever benefits you want to put around your business for that. And then the main obvious one, if they haven't registered their interest, we haven't captured them looking at our customer history, we haven't captured them at the point of booking, the next point to capture them is going to be when that vehicle is on site. Now, in the past couple of weeks, we've tried an interesting process where we've emailed all our service customers the day before arrival. A bit like a booking confirmation, you could potentially tie it into that depending on how yours are set up. But we've emailed every single customer the day before, letting them know they've been identified as a customer this might be suitable for. It's something new and exciting we're introducing. Here are all the benefits. We will have a tailored plan ready to discuss with you in branch when you arrive tomorrow. So doing this for the advisors has really helped them ease into the conversation. They're not having to bring it up straight off their own back. The customer's kind of expecting it. They've got time to then build the estimate before the customer arrives and get the payment details there ready to hand over. So at the point the customer then see the front of house member of staff is seeing them in, they can ask them if they've received that email, gauge if it's something they're interested in, give them the quote and the plan payments, and then let them know they'll send the plan over today while we've got their vehicle. That gives us then all the opportunity to answer any questions that customers got whilst we've still got their car. Not only that, if there's work identified or service supplements identified the customer doesn't go ahead with that day, you could then tie it into next year's plan. It's just a really easy way in to having them conversations with the customers, identifying their needs whilst you've got their car. And then when you're seeing them out, you can have that final conversation. Have you understood everything in regards to the plan? Are you happy with it? We're here to answer any questions you've got. Likewise, what I said previously, if we sent that plan out in the morning and the customer activated that day before they collected their car, it could be that you then offer some discount on that bill just to secure their booking before they then come and collect. What we have often find is the £10 discount sometimes sits around the monthly payment. So if they sign up while their vehicle's in, sometimes it's that first monthly payment is actually free because they've had it discounted off their first service. But that's going to be all down to your company's pricing and the discounts you're willing to offer. But it's just quite a nice little sales tactic to get it over the line sometimes. And lastly, this is something, so the last method we've used, but the newest one we've introduced, and we've sold a plan today using this for the first time at one of our sites. So really, really like this option. Now, if you do online authorization, we do a couple of different methods with our servicing. Sometimes they will get a online auth the day before the vehicle arrives. If we've got history and we know service supplements are due and they haven't authorised them, they can then add them on through this pre-author link. I then created a service package that you can see now for service plan, and it just allows the customer to opt in to registering their interest. It's basically inviting you to build them a tailored quote. So again, it makes that conversation really easy. So you could send this the day before the booking via online auth, or you could send it during the service. So you send them their service inspection via online auth, and this might just be an additional item you add on the end of it. So if you've missed the opportunity to have the conversation at drop off or at the point of booking, this allows you to prompt the conversation during the middle of the day. So whilst you've got that vehicle, you're looking at it, and not only that, the customer is going to receive the full estimate of advised work, and it might be that seeing that service plan there, they might tie in some of that advised work to the service plan for the following year if it's non-urgent. What we have seen at some of our branches, which was really interesting, is I think we've got 3 or 4 plans set up now for wet belts over the space of 24 months. So our staff are identifying them early, letting customers know they can set up payment plans for these large scheduled repairs that they may not have anticipated. And I think particularly the 1 litre Ford smaller vehicles, people are purchasing these cars not fully aware of the cost when it comes to carrying out the replacement of the wet belt. And it's our duty of care to let them know that that's coming up, and would they like to spread the cost over a service plan. And that's really, really good. You get that, that really bulky, labour intensive, good price job absolutely secured for the next year. And again, when we're thinking about that, from the customer's benefit, it's all about fixing that price. So if you can build a good quote and get that price fixed for the customer, they're more than likely going to take up that plan and get that scheduled repair all set up for when they need it. So with time and belts is a really good one, not only on servicing but anticipated bigger bills that are non-urgent and we can get scheduled. That sort of thing can absolutely go on a plan as well, doesn't just have to be for servicing. And just a little bit about securing the deal. I mean, this is more for Lindley's staff, part of this presentation was, but just actively listing, when we're doing free puncture repairs, if that customer comes in for their service and when that customer comes in for service and they say their tyre's losing pressure, our front of house advisors should be thinking, ears pricked up, there's an opportunity for me to get the conversation in here. So it's just whatever benefits you're going to have for your business, where are the identity points within the customer journey that you're going to pick that up. And it's just to make sure your staff are aware of that and make sure they use that to the best way they can. And just again, a little emphasis on the plan fixing the price is going to be a really good selling point for us and a benefit for the customer, particularly on those larger scheduled repairs. Now, just a little bit of final information. We are coming towards the end of the presentation. Just bear in mind, customers can have more than one plan linked to their name. We've seen this at Lindley's now with particularly families. We get it, husband and wife. He might set up a plan for his wife or for his children if he's looking after his children's maintenance on their vehicles. It might be that one person in that family sets up multiple plans. you guys will know your customer base, and it might be that you've got really good relationships with certain customers, and you know, you look after their partner's car and their mum's car and their auntie's car, and they might be a really good customer base. When you're looking at customer targeted sales, it might be that you know your perfect customers that are going to love this plan. So it might be that there's some easy wins for you to sort of go down first. So yeah, I'm just going to touch on briefly sending the plan now. Like I spoke about at the beginning, if you've got the online booking set up and you are planning to build this into a fixed price package, this is what it looks like when the estimate comes through to Garage Hive. So the customer is going to book that service online, but it's not going to come through as a booking. It's going to come through as an estimate. It will reflect in your online booking tile, but also will generate the estimate tile, and it will come through just like a normal estimate. The only thing you have to do from this point is press send ServiceSplit plan. You'll then get a pop-up asking you to put the month duration in and the billing anchor, which is going to be that customer's payment date. So you just press send plan, duration of months, and the payment date, okay, then nothing else. It then automatically updates everything you need to ServiceSplit and looks on ServiceSplit as if you've sent it through the ServiceSplit platform. There is no difference when looking at all. But our advisors absolutely love this, made it streamless for them. So when they're going down the method of emailing the customer before, having that estimate built up ready for them, when the customer gave them the green light, all they had to press was send. They weren't uploading invoices, they weren't having to put the VAT amount in there. This just made that absolutely streamless for our advisors. Been a bit of a game changer for us, and I just wanted to really heavily express the fact of how easy that is. If you have that fixed service package on your website, once that customer's gone for it and you've had the conversation, all you've got to do is press send. Makes it really, really easy. Just going to go over a couple of housekeeping bits just to be aware of. In terms of pending plans, you know, we know our conversion rate isn't the absolute best. It's definitely something we want to improve, but I have a feeling a lot of that comes from confidence in conversations from our advisors. They haven't got the sales message across strong enough for that customer to convert. So just as if you're going to dive into this, try and bring into part of your weekly housekeeping, just keep an eye on those pending plans. You can see, is it on my next slide, how many times a customer's opened a plan. So if we just go back here, these are all the list of our pending activated plans at the moment. But what you can look a little bit one step further into seeing what the customer's done within their journey so far. So although if I look into a pending plan and you can see at the top it's pending activation, you will see you may see an active thing next to the customer's name. That means the customer has followed the link, they've put their details in, they've set up their password, and they've activated their account, but they haven't gone as far as put their details in and actually activate the plan. So that might prompt me, right, the customer's started the journey, how many times have they looked in? So if you scroll further down on a customer's plan, you can see when it's been delivered, how many times they've opened it, what dates they've opened it. You can see if customers are going in and out. You know, if we spot that, the customer might just have some more. They might want that extra conversation. There might be a bit of information they're missing to get over the line. So when we're doing our housekeeping and we're looking down these pended plans, it might be that, right, they've opened it a couple of times. Let me just give them a call and see if there's any more information they need. If they're not and it's not for them, you know, and they've decided, no, I've had a look, it's not quite for me, we can just cancel that plan and forget about it. But we want to keep these pending activations, you know, almost as warm leads for us. Don't leave it and send them the plan and just forget about it. It might take an extra conversation. Just while we're on this screen as well, what we have noticed, which was interesting, is the plan activation wasn't always immediate. It might be that we've had the conversation in the middle of the month and that person's not going to activate the plan till payday, or it might take them till their final reminder to actually get them to sign up. We've had some real delays in plans being sent and signed up, so don't be totally disheartened if they don't sign up immediately. It's definitely something that isn't always immediate, and it might take a little bit of more helping the customer through that process. So like I said, try and introduce that into part of your weekly housekeeping and just keep on top of it, because there will be warm leads there that might just need a little bit of extra assistance going through the process. And then what you will also see when you're looking at your plans is pause plans. We had 5 this morning. Now we've only got 3, which is great because we managed to reactivate them. Now, these are as simple as a payment has failed and pause their plan. When we spoke to 2 customers, they just had a new bank card and they just needed to update their payment. They weren't aware the plan's cancelled. So again, as part of your housekeeping, keep on top of this. If the plan's paused, it's because of a payment issue and you need to ring the customer and find out why. And we can't rectify at our end. They will have to log into their account and update their payment information. In turn, it'll automatically reactivate their account for them. And very easy process there. And like I said, we've done a couple today, no issues whatsoever. And all it was, it just prompted a phone call. So again, keep on top of those, because you may get some where people have renewed bank cards, things like that, or they've had a payment bounce and they just need to update that payment method. So again, just keep that on your weekly housekeeping and keep them plans active. And then lastly, the thing I'm just going to go over is how it appears from the customer experience. Our staff ask for this quite a lot. I know Matt does have a demo login, so if you wanted to have a play around from the customer experience, you can ask him for that and sort of go through it the customer way. But I'll just show you some screenshots. So that's the invite they will get from ServiceSplit. So usually what we're doing at Lindley's is I've got some email templates we will send alongside this. We will email them, thanking them for the conversation, what the benefits of the plan are, their payment details in terms of what their monthly payments are, in an email, and then let them know they will receive a follow-on email from ServiceSplit to activate the plan. I just wanted to make sure that our customers weren't confused when they got something from ServiceSplit and not branded from Lindley's. So I just make sure it gets an email coinciding with that, so the customer's not unsure they're clicking on something that's fraudulent or anything like that. And then it's very user-friendly, nice mobile user-friendly. Put your name in and then you set your password. So once the customer's done this stage, that's when their customer account will show as active. But to activate their plan, they've then got to go to this next step and put their payment details in, confirm they're happy with the contract, and actually activate the plan. So if the customer's showing as active, but the plan's not active, this is the step they've not filled out. And it might be that something they've seen something in the plan contract, or they want to change the payment date and the payment date wasn't originally what they wanted, which is what we've had a few times. Customers haven't signed up because it's not on a preferred payment date. If you reach out to Matt at ServiceSplit, I believe he can change these for you, or you can cancel the plan, resend it with a correct payment date, and that will do exactly the same thing, which is probably a better way actually. And so once they've activated this section, that's when their actual plan becomes active. A couple of frequently asked questions we've just had from our staff. Yes, the customer can cancel the plan at any single time. A small admin fee applies for us, which is just the admin fee ServiceSplit apply. But that is absolutely down, again, to your business. If you're willing to refund it all, it doesn't come direct from ServiceSplit. We have to manually refund them. So it's whatever process you put in place for your business when it comes to that. The plan stays with the customer, not necessarily the vehicle. So if they got a new vehicle, they will just cancel that plan. Their funds would remain in the pot and they set up a new plan for their new vehicle. And likewise, can they use their funds for other repairs? Yes, they absolutely can. If they've built up, I don't know, £200 in a plan, but their discs and pads are absolutely grinding, they're back at the wall, they haven't got any money and they want to use that funds, we need to avoid going down that route and cancelling the plan. But if the customer wants to do that, they absolutely can. So they can cancel their plans. It will remain in your bank, the funds, and then you can just assign it to the repairs that they then will need. But that's, absolute emergency if the customer needs that. But it is an option. The answer is yes, they can do that. And I think that is about it for me now. So I will stop sharing and open up the forum for questions.
Just to thanks for that, Emma. Just to add a point around payment methods, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but direct debit is an option that's coming imminently or available now.
It's readily available. I was going to add that as well, because that kind of eliminates the issue around cards expiring, or if they get their bank card stolen, they have to issue a new card. It kind of eliminates all of that because it's just linked directly to the bank account through direct debit. So we can activate that for whoever would like to try it out.
Which may be the preferred method for the customer as well. Okay. Any questions? Anything at all? Anything around the platform? Anything around what Lindley's processes, or any questions for Emma?
How do you identify who a ServiceSplit customer is on Garage Hive?
So like what I would have done is filtered. I'd go for a small block of data. So look at a month of all them services, probably filter by promoter. And then I looked at customers that we had history for first. So customers that have used us for the past 2 or 3 years, you know, why aren't they on a plan for next year? If they're going to come back and they've used us for a few years, I would put that down as an ideal candidate.
Yeah, but how can I see straight away who's got a plan or who's not got a plan?
Within Garage Hive, who's got a plan?
Yeah.
So this is what I have been doing manually at the moment. So if you are in a job and you go to take payment, you can see if they're a plan that way. But I know that's not ideal. As we've been selling plans, I've been updating customer cards, putting information on there saying they've got a plan, or even categorizing that customer as a service plan customer is also an option.
Just to clarify, Kirsty, on the payment, when you go to take payment, through the integration, you can see the customer's service split balance. So there'll be no mistakes made in that respect. You can see who is a customer, but you can't see a list of customers in Garage Hive, if that makes sense. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
But we are going to solve. So today, it's not obvious. We've got like 7 different ideas, but we haven't decided what the right one is. So there will be something more obvious than what Emma and Alex have just mentioned.
And
is that
I just want to interject a little bit here, where I spoke about asking the customer at the point of booking if they've got a service plan. Part of the reason was for that. I don't want a customer booking in when the front of house aren't fully aware it's a service plan. So bringing that question into the equation really helps the front of house with that. What I would hate to happen is a customer come in, be on a service plan, and that front of house customer not be aware of the benefits they're meant to have. So also asking that question at the point of booking. I know that's not what you're referring to, but it just made me bring back to that point.
Scott wants to know, is there any way we can do a mail shot to all our existing customers that we are now doing split service plans?
So you want to mail shot customers you are doing plans for, or we want to mail shot find customers?
Yeah, the ones that we already have in our system, Garage Hive system.
Yeah.
All our existing customers, can we send something out, say, hi, by the way, we are now doing service plans, call us, and rather than us going through every single customer that we've got or doing something like that, we can just send it out to them that we've already got on the system, or the name, address, emails, and then send them all out to them and say, look, we're doing these things, are you interested? Give us a call.
Yes, that's exactly what we did. So in Garage Hive, on your vehicle list under actions, there's a button called Export MailChimp. So I would recommend we use MailChimp as the external emailer to do these mail shot campaigns. And we got a massive response from it. Emma, we can share the email campaign that we did.
Yes, I think Ryan's got all the information for that.
We'll put it in the ServiceSplit forum for you. The messaging that we put in, that we sent out. I think we did a couple of versions actually. We really didn't expect. We screwed up because I think Emma was going on holiday. We sent this email out. We had a member of staff off, and we had well over 100 emails come in the same day of people who want to contact in. So it's definitely the way to do it. Something you need to be super clear on. And as I mentioned at the start of this webinar, customers in the aftermarket are familiar with payment plans, which is post-visit finance. they're not familiar with service plans, which is pre-visit paying in advance like the dealerships do.
Yeah.
So with your messaging, you need to be so clear that this is not a post-visit finance. This is you're signing up for a prepayment service plan. Because we had a lot of those customers who inquired initially, we got our wording probably not that clear, and we had a lot of people thinking we're just doing finance for servicing, which we do, but that's not what this was about. So just be very conscious of that. Your customer's default will think it's finance, and it's not.
Yeah.
So you just have to be quite clear with that.
Yeah.
Laura.
Is there
Scott,
going to be point of sale stuff coming out soon, or
I think you're already in.
we don't have anything?
I'm going to post something up to you in the next couple of days, but there's
And
artwork
point of
as
sale
well.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any literature for front of house that we could put out, created, or that we can buy somewhere and purchase?
Yeah, we have. We've. Oh, you mean flyers? Again, we'll show you.
Very similar. Or, things that you can just put on the desk that obviously are just pre-made just for ServiceSplit, not particularly branded to any garage or.
Yeah, so we have some actual point of sale stuff so what Reece has got in his hands there. Emma, after this, can you organise with Ryan to just put out? We've got reception posters, reception flyers, and social media post just content. Will you just get all of that in the forum?
Yeah.
You just copy it. You copy it word for word. We don't care, but don't use our logo because that's not going to do you any favours. So just send it over to your local, a local person, and they'll get it printed off for you, and they can change that logo easily.
Fantastic, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Emma, what would you say the biggest obstacle that you've faced so far is?
Consistency with staff, literally by a million miles away. Like the staff that went away from the training and tried it that day and have been consistent with it have absolutely flown with it. The ones that haven't have sort of lost a little bit of confidence with it. So this is why I looked at like methods we could do outside a branch and like getting that good data, because although I would ask the question on the counter every single time, we struggle. Well, we have struggled for all the advisors to be giving that same sort of service. But yeah, it's absolutely a confidence thing, and it would probably be different for you guys because I think you're, not multi-location, and you've got a bit of a smaller team, and you're all working towards the same goal. I feel like your frustrations might not be as difficult as ours would be in that sense.
No, we're literally, I could have just wrote that speech that you've just said. We've just literally tore your arseholes in here today because I'm absolutely frustrated. You have a meeting with them, you tell them this is the process, why you're not following it. They follow it for 3 weeks, and then lo and behold, 4 weeks later, there's somebody else. They're like they're a new start. It's constant.
Now I was having a conversation with Alex about this yesterday, and I really think about dealerships and what their customers expect and what their staff expect. And if you employed a member of staff for a dealership, like they would know from day one, it is their job to sell service plans, and that's what their customers expect to be offered. So it might be that, we've just got to be really persistent with it over the next 12 months, because even though our customers might not go for it today, when they're back in next year and they're asked again, why haven't they reaped them benefits for the past 12 months?
I think even just getting them to realise, like, as a customer, like a front of house role, how would you feel as a customer? Like, what would your expectations be, and match them and beyond, basically, and it's getting them to kind of remember that.
We are just trying to start it small at the minute. So we've got a generic email that I'm sending out to people who's, like you say, they've been in the last 2 or 3 years, so they're likely to be back. And I'm just sending an email, and it's got like the sort of pre-payment plan that our marketing have done for us with our logo and stuff, with ServiceSplit logo on it. But when you speak to them sometimes during the stair, it's just like it's something completely alien when it's actually no.
Yeah,
I think
honestly,
I think you need to. The highest conversion rate is absolutely one that you've had a conversation with the customer, and it's that, as Emma said, it's get into the routine of asking, do you have a service plan? That will trigger the conversation, and the customers that are intrigued will learn why. But coming back to staff messaging, this is something that Lindley's have had a massive issue because it is multi-site, and the messaging dilutes as you try and get down to service advisor. We've been guilty in the past of, here's the new process, go and do it. This is how you do it, go and do it. And I think, and Emma will agree with this, we're now really trying to focus on the member of staff understanding why we're doing it. And just really trying to emphasize the message, the long-term benefit of this, because it's a little bit of short-term pain, a conversation that they don't really see why they've got to have. So really emphasizing the long-term benefits to that service advisor of why, as a business, this is the route that we're going down, because we believe in it. You know, we've all been there with VHC. Implementing VHC is significantly harder than this, but the staff have got to understand why you're doing it. And I think that when we first launched, a really good example, Emma did this training, just like you've seen, really good training. Some branches immediately adopted it, the usual suspects who embrace change and they just want to impress. And then we had one branch who basically turned around to Emma 2 weeks after and said, it doesn't suit our customers. Our customers aren't suitable for ServiceSplit. Right, so Emma went there for a day. None of them knew their passwords. So they couldn't log in. So Emma reset the passwords, and within an hour of being there, she sent 4 service plans, converted 2 within an hour.
Yeah.
So again, it's more like will. Are they willing to do it, or are they able to do it?
That's what I said this morning as well. Don't make the decision for the customer. It's like you're getting the car in and deciding that it's a bucket and that it shouldn't be getting the repairs done, but you don't know the value to the customer of the car. So put the repairs to the customer. If they say no, the car's not worth it, then fair enough. If the customer then turns around and says do it, then we've got a job with it. So don't preempt the customer's reaction.
No, and this is why through that training I started looking at online auth and emailing the customer the day before. And I'll be totally honest with you, it's to take the conversation out of the responsibility of the advisor. You know, I'm going to force them to have this conversation, and if they're not going to have it themselves, I'm going to email all the customers the day before. You know, I'm going to we can put it on their online auth. So it's those sort of methods were based off the fact advisors weren't being forthcoming. So yeah, that's also an option to include, you know, on your service inspections, emailing them the day before, things like that. So you almost force the conversation onto the advisor when that customer arrives. And like I said, we've had a bit of success with that actually, and I think it's helped build staff confidence.
Natalie's just come up with a great thing. Is obviously we're going to get some literature done. Great idea, and every invoice we do send out with a customer is to staple one at the back.
Yeah.
Offering that service, so sometimes obviously people are in a rush that they can have that literature just at the back, maybe they can take it home and read about it. Simple, but maybe possibly effective.
That's what we do. We did A5 leaflets in our service folders with every single service that went out. So yeah, you just need to go big with the messaging, I think.
Just going to run through some of these questions. Yeah, Ed's got a question.
Just out of curiosity, obviously you're comparing it to main dealers. Obviously, when main dealers sell service plans, the front of house tend to be bonused on it. So you incentivising the staff in any way, shape, or form of selling the plans?
Well, we have. It's made absolutely no difference whatsoever to the success. So
we do, and I asked Emma to take it out of the presentation because I know how contentious bonus is, and I don't want this to become about bonus because there's Laura sat here and she'll bite my head off if I start talking about bonus. So Lindley's has a culture of incentives and bonus. We have tried no bonus, a bonus, and doubled the bonus, and it didn't really make a difference in this case. It's way more about the people believing in this product and the ones that are keen to impress. Come to your own conclusion on incentives.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, that was my question. That was my question as well. Was about bonus schemes.
Yeah.
Because we've got a couple of service advisors which used to sell service plans and main dealers.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were incentivized, so I just wondering if anybody else, but Edward also.
Understood. Okay. I'm just going to mute you again, Carl. I do love you, but you're echoing chronic.
Yes.
Oh, Alex, do you want some good news?
What?
140 plans, just as of now.
Woo! I think Diana or Kirsty was next. You two can fight between yourselves. Who goes next? Who's first? Quick.
Well, one of my questions was that Ed's question, which is of the greatest common theme. And then the next one was, what are the common questions that are frequently raised by the customers?
What's in it for the garage?
Yeah, I had a customer this is the one I sold to over the phone. First time I tried it at the point of booking. And she said to me, come on then, tell me what's in it for you. And I said, I'll be totally honest with you, it's for customer retention. We want to give our loyal customers benefits. And, you know, it works for both of us. And just gave her the honest answer. And she was like, great, and signed up. But yeah, that's the only really weird question I've had. You know, what bounced it back to her is, why are you doing this? What are you getting out of it? But other than that, we haven't really had many. Like I said, small amount of benefits for the plan, really straightforward. The platform is really clean and easy to use. We haven't had much questioning of it actually.
We've had some positive reviews as well. So we had someone take out a service plan and then a few weeks later get one of their free puncture repairs. We obviously lost a bit of revenue, generated a positive review. It's going to generate positive noise. They're probably, if they've gone out the way to write a review about it, you can imagine they're going to be telling someone about it as well. And that is the right type of customer who's hopefully going to be talking to like-minded people as well. Diana, your question?
Yeah, it was just really something that I keep, like after the last webinar, yes, I do want to do this and get started. I just think my only fear really is kind of how many people would be a good amount of sort of initial inquiries to start, or does anyone have any tips? Because I think the one thing I was going to do is kind of try and pre-market for, you know, like a coming soon service kind of thing, say.
That would be good.
About it, well, not we're thinking about this is something we're implementing, and would you like to be first on the waiting list to get accepted onto this? You know, we don't do at the minute any email marketing or flyers or really much on social media, so I didn't know whether anyone's got
a direct mail shot. A direct mail shot will get way more traction than a social media post.
Yeah.
I think
it's very
consistency with Aidan taking up-to-date addresses hasn't been a great thing, so it's just
the email addresses.
Probably got email addresses.
Yeah, good reminder for us all. You never know when you're going to need. You never know when you're going to need those email addresses.
Yeah.
Just things to consider with doing that is, though, you'll get people inquire that are interested, and then you'll spend 2 or 3 weeks getting yourself ready, and then they'll go cold. So if you were on the platform, which you wouldn't pay for a month anyway, then you'd have a month to actually act on people saying, yes, I'm interested, and get them signed up while they're hot. But it's not to say it's a bad idea to warm people up, but just consider you'll lose a couple because they'll go cold.
So I think maybe if I get some basic literature done, just so that I've got something critical to hand them, some resources available, and then I'll
I done a generic email of my own, Diana, and just sent it to, I done exactly what Emma said, looked at who was in last for a service and whose service was coming up in the next few months and looked at them and contacted them by email with just a generic one that we've done in our market, and I'd done our logo. And it wasn't really even to push it, it was for me to get familiar with how the setup was going to be. And then now that we're waiting on this, and then now that we've had this, we'll speak to front of house. Are just kind of blasé about it, the usual. When it's a change, nobody likes change. But we've got I can send you this email that I send it if you want to do a bulk email thing.
Laura, have you done any cold calls?
If you could pop it in the forum, Laura, that
Cold
would be
calls,
awesome.
no, not because I've not got enough hours in the day, unfortunately. But we had a conversation this morning that I think we need another sort of sales admin rather than just somebody doing VIs and stuff. I want somebody predominantly working on this, working on converting estimates that have been sitting for a week or two. I think we need somebody for a sales background because there's not enough of it in here. I can do it, but I can't sit down there all the time.
Yeah.
Rob had a question as well. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool. You're muted, Rob. One second.
Muted, Rob. That's right.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry. In terms of, obviously, the customer retention is hugely important and the main benefit to the garage. However, if a customer has a service today and they pay today, you've covered the cost of the business of what things cost you. In 12 months' time, how do you offset the potential increased cost to the company in terms of parts, oil, wages? That's all going to be more 12 months from now. However, we've locked in our revenue at today's cost. Now, it may not be huge, but if you're a garage that's selling 200, 300, 400 service plans, it's like anti-inflation almost. How do you reconcile that?
I think over the last 2 years, that would have been really difficult to answer. I think inflation is what currently less than 2%, is it? I think the latest figure is something like that. So it's a speculation on the garage's behalf. Is increasing service retention worth losing that bit of revenue from the price inflation on a service? None of us know what that's going to look like in a year's time. My answer to that on Linda's behalf is it's worth the risk to keep that service customer retained. There's nothing more valuable in our business than a service customer. So at the risk of losing a few quid due to inflation, that's just a business decision. And you may decide that you don't want to take that risk. But it comes back down to that winning a service customer and retaining a service customer is going to be key.
Yeah, fair enough. And in terms of them swapping vehicles, I know they can cancel their current plan and it keeps the funds on their service account. If they request a new plan for a new vehicle, does it calculate what's in their funds and reduce their monthly payments going forward, or is it just that's your new plan and you have 80 quid in the bank to use against it? How does it?
It doesn't factor it into the remaining payments. They'll just start. It's a slightly manual process in that they'll start a new plan, and that plan, let's say you want to run it for 7 months, but you already have this much in the pot, for example. That's just up to you to figure out.
Lovely. And last question, and I'll be quiet, is in terms of, has it been running long enough for you to have any negative kickback from people in terms of, well, I had a service plan and now you're telling me I need brakes and coil springs. Why is that extra? Has that come up at all yet? Or is it just dealt with the same as you just thought, well, it's not covered by a service plan, it's extra, and you just have the conversation?
The first plan is due back in January. So I can tell you then. But our first one doesn't start until January now.
That's all down to communication, isn't it? What's the customer think they've bought? What do they think they're getting for their monthly payment? And if you miscommunicate, you leave yourself open for that. And on one of your other points, it came up a lot in the last webinar, and Alex and I think have a slightly different opinion on it. But Lindley's pricing data is publicly published, but no one's telling you what to sell the service plans for. You can sell them for whatever you want. If you want to have a conversation with a customer that plan is 20 quid more expensive than this year's, then because next year's prices are higher than this year's prices, then it's all down to how you communicate with your customers. So you don't have to sell your plan at this year's prices. They don't have to be inflation busting plans. That's all up to you guys to sell plans for whatever you want to sell them for, priced however you want to price them.
Yeah, I didn't mean to ask 3 negative questions either.
Yeah,
it was just
it's good.
Understand what how the customer will perceive things and be ahead of that, so you've got the answers ready. So, I think it's a great idea. Just on
the customer's expectations, the way the Garage Hive integration works is when you send the estimate to ServiceSplit, it will attach a PDF of the estimate, and the customer, when they're signing the plan, they can see the estimate, so they can literally see line by line. Precisely what's in your Garage Hive estimate is the plan, like legally binding. That's the plan.
Yeah, couldn't be clearer. That's what you're getting.
That's what you're getting for that money. Yeah, absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure we'll get it. I'm sure someone will try and expect to pay £200 and the car's covered for life on every repair possible. But you're going to get that.
Of course, yeah.
Contracts are for.
Yeah, thanks for answering them. Yeah.
No worries.
Kirsty's next.
Yeah.
So just a couple of ones. So I think briefly you mentioned that obviously you've got the estimate. Is there a way that you can add like a surplus to it for them to factor in? So it's in for its service next year, so they're paying for the service plan over that. But the idea is £250 worth of repairs that they've saved up as well. How could you get around?
This is a good question, and it is very sketchy waters. So the most challenging part of us building this business was around the legal finance side. If you create a service plan which has a predetermined set of items and labours, and then you add a ambiguous line which says £250 worth of repairs, as a company you are leaving yourself super exposed to what that actually is. And the law will lean the way of the customer. What you cannot do by law is create a service plan that is a bank account savings account, which is £50 a month, that just says service repair fund, because you are then turning into a bank account and you will be absolutely within the realms of FCA regulation and could get into big trouble. So I would avoid doing it at all costs. You need to be very precise with what it is that you're delivering. You're entering into a contract with a customer on a prepaid service or product defined over a period of time. Like, it's very, very particular. So I don't want to sound like I'm giving you the world's longest answer, but I want to really emphasize that point is ServiceSplit's biggest challenge.
On that, if they're an existing customer already, and we've got the last 3 years, like Emma said, she's had a customer that had been coming in for 3 or 4 years. If we look at the customer's history, we can see that they, on average, spend £600 a year. Then that is their annual car maintenance costs as an average over 3 years. Would that be classed as an okay figure to submit?
Okay.
It depends what it's on the document. If you imagine you go to court,
it will.
You get taken to court by that customer because you've not agreed your side of the contract.
We'll get you some Calpol. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
I'll have some, Reece.
Yeah, I'll have some Calpol, please. Yeah, you've just got to make sure that whatever's on that document is incredibly clear and that it is not a savings account. So I can't make it any clearer than that. It can't just be a generic repair fund, because at that point you are literally setting up a savings account for the customer. It's a pre-agreed contract for a pre-agreed piece of work. You can get creative with it. So you could add aircon, wheel alignment, just add something if you want to that you're agreeing to. And if the customer decides, I want to spend that money on this, then there's a process that exists that makes that really easy to do, but you are cancelling the contract. You cancel the contract, you use the funds on something else. We know that people want to use this as, I'm going to chuck some money in that pot and it's for a service, but if I want to spend it on something else, how do I do that?
Okay, so we can include it, and then at the time, if they request to come outside of the contractual agreement of what it's including to use it for something else, then that's the workaround.
There is a functioning garage. There's a functioning ServiceSplit that literally exists to solve that problem. It's one click. Cancel plan, reason, keep funds on account or used elsewhere. Simple as that.
Yeah,
and then that money
we've got a workaround, then that's it. Simple. Thank you.
I think even just like what Kev was saying there, the in my head, the way I see it working for us is looking at the history of the vehicle, if it's been coming in 3-4 years, and looking at the items that are due every 2 years, brake fluid or timing belts are due, and preempting for the following year, right, Mr. Smith, you've had your service done today, but next year it's going to be 2 years since you've had your brake fluid done. Your timing belt is going to be needing done next year, or your brakes are going to be looking like they're going to be needing done next, and build that all in and spread the cost over that year so that they know that it's already prepaid when they come in the following year. And that's the benefit I see of it.
Yeah,
we've done that within Liz as well. We have. Yeah. We've got some plans that have got distant pads on, some plans that have got lower arms on. You know, hopefully they last the 12 months to make the plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have done that at Liz. Yeah,
we've got a few wet belts as well. We've got service and wet belt on a few plans as well.
I think we've got some plans that are like £50-60 a month now.
Yeah.
They're building them up quite big for these big scheduled repairs.
Yeah.
Also, so in that scenario, say you built it all up to £1,000 worth of an estimate, process all of that. Actually, on the time of booking or doing the job, it doesn't actually require all of that. So there's actually surplus remaining. Can that either go onto a new plan, or how can you refund the customer and the difference?
It can't go onto a new plan via ServiceSplit, not yet anyway. It may be, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, it's perhaps something we could add in the future. But there's a button called Consume Plan. So you consume the value that applies to the invoice, and then they'll be left with a balance. You can either leave that balance on the account, or you can refund it to the customer, or move it over to a garage hive and just have it as on your debtors as a balance. That's up to you. But ServiceSplit can handle all the scenarios apart from transferring it to a new plan. Unfortunately, not yet anyway.
So just quick, Emma said before, hopefully the disc and pads last to the end of the year. So it's completely it's completely feasible and possible in the plan. So you can do a service and dis and pads and 2 lower wishbones, for argument's sake. And if they get 6 months in and the pads are worn out, they can you can consume you could do the pads and submit that invoice and consume £200 of the 300 they've already played, and then the plan stays open and they pay the other 200 in over the next 6 months, and then they come in and have the service done. So that doesn't need cancelling the plan, as long as the work you're doing is in the scope of the plan. Then you can consume the funds, leave the plan open, and invoice through there. Yeah. So you can do like tyres, dis and pad service, and you've got 100 quid in the plan, I'll have the tyres done, and then leave it a few more months, and now I can have the brakes done, and leave it a few more months and have the service done. If however that works for you and your customer.
So what happens in this scenario of the person's paid up almost to the point where they're due to come in for their service, and the unexpected breakdown happens and they want to use it? So is that a cancellation of the plan?
Yes.
In that scenario, you'd cancel the plan, say that you're going to keep the funds, and then do whatever work for the customer, and they just have money on their account.
Yeah.
Just takes it outside. Cancel the plan.
You've got to. If you're not going to fulfil that contract, you have to cancel that contract. It's like a one-on-one agreement with the customer. Rob, I think you've got another question. I'm not sure if the hand's still up from last time.
No, it's another one. Emma, you said you had a really almost unexpected influx of people that wanted to go ahead with this when you cleverly took a week off after you've set it up for everyone else to sort out. Had any of those customers had any prior communication about this at all, or was it completely cold?
Completely cold mail shot. I think it went out on a Sunday night, and I think Monday we had 150 inquiries by like 10 o'clock in the morning.
It was massive then.
Massive. We were like, what on earth? So
we cocked it up. We screwed it up because we were trying to get through them so quickly, and we enlisted other people who aren't as good as Emma or as trained as Emma to deal with all of that. It wasn't ideal.
It's a good problem to have, though, isn't it?
It was a very good
I
problem
would like to do that mail shot again.
We've been in a much better position to do that right now than we were back then. But you live and learn.
And one last thing, and in terms of they pay monthly and it goes into their fund. Does the Hive post that invoice and that sale the year later when the service takes place? The reason I ask, if you're looking at year-on-year comparisons of revenue and customers, does it know that revenue was landed the year later? Do you know what I mean? So if you're looking at where you are versus the previous year, does it?
Yeah. So the way the accounting works, so those who do bookkeeping, this is how it is set up to be super straightforward. You set up service plans and ServiceSplit. ServiceSplit maintains your ledgers. That's where all of the information is on where that money belongs. And then each month or each quarter, I can't remember how long, what the exact details are, but the money drops into your bank account. So each quarter, you're going to see a chunk of money come in, a few £1,000s come into your bank account. In Garage Hive, you just assign that to you make a new account in Garage Hive, just called ServiceSplit Fund. Essentially, it's just a pot of money. But you don't know who that belongs to, and you don't need to, because that's all maintained in ServiceSplit.
Right.
Fast forward a year, and then a customer comes in who has a service plan. You can open on the job sheet, you can see what balance they've got in ServiceSplit, because it's now looking back at ServiceSplit. And then when you take payment for the amount that's come from their service, it might be half from the service plan,
whatever it is,
whatever. Yeah. It will take it out of that ServiceSplit pot that you've built in Garage Hive. It will just pay it out of that. So you'll have this pot in Garage Hive that should reconcile with the pot in ServiceSplit, essentially.
In terms of Power BI, it will show that your yearly growth is still progressive and going the right way.
So Power BI, in terms of payments won't touch Power BI anyway. So Power BI remains exactly as it is, perfect. It's unaffected by it, completely unaffected by it. It's only your cash balance and balance sheet that will be affected by this for anyone who does accountancy, but it's really straightforward. We've also built a few reports in ServiceSplit so you can see what your balance is. If you're doing it by the book, you should be paying VAT on that balance. Whether you do or not is entirely up to you. All the reports already exist within ServiceSplit to make it really straightforward. But to answer your question in short, Rob, it's Power BI remains unaffected completely.
Right. Cheers.
Any more questions? Michael.
Hi there. I've just got a quick question about what protection there is for the customer for their funds that they've put into this scheme.
Protection for the customer?
Protection for the customer, yeah, because I thought that might be a question that they would ask at the time.
Yeah, so this is, so we don't just, so ServiceSplit won't work with any business. We need to work with businesses that have a healthy balance sheet. The protection for the customer lies with the garage. So it's no different from a customer paying you a deposit, as an example. There is a slight risk for the customer if the garage goes out of business, then that customer can do a clawback or a claim back on the card company, or if it's by direct debit, the bank account. So there isn't if the business goes bust, essentially. This is where we have to work around FCA regulation on exactly what this is. Anyone who is concerned, we've got all of the documentation from the solicitors regarding FCA regulation done on your behalf. So you can have access to all of that if you want to.
What about the money that's in ServiceSplit before it gets to the garage itself? Because you say it's paid down quarterly, is that right?
No, the money's not in, we're not in the flow of funds. So ServiceSplit doesn't.
It's got, so for that, did I get that right? That it's paid to us quarterly?
It's paid from Stripe, 90 days delayed from, I think it's 90 days delayed from when the money is taken, but it's never in ServiceSplit's bank account. So ServiceSplit on, there's no risk with ServiceSplit, if that makes sense.
So that is guaranteed by Stripe then, effectively, isn't it? That money.
Say that again. Sorry, the quality is not.
Money to the garage is guaranteed by Stripe for that money.
Yes, it's within Stripe's account. So the garage is onboarded with Stripe. So it's not. It doesn't flow through our account whatsoever. There's no.
That's fine. Thanks very much. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions?
Carl.
You muted, Carl.
Right, folks, I need to go because some folk need to spin spanners and that, so.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No problem
Cheers.
at all. See you in a bit. Carl, if you're speaking, mate, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Right, thanks ever so much. We've got to go.
There's a really big echo. Do you want to? I think it's because you've got speakers on both devices.
How's that?
That's much better.
That's better.
Yeah, we've got to go. Thanks ever so much, and we'll jump on the Facebook page to catch up some more of it. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you for coming.
Right, cheers. Bye-bye.
So if we've got questions after this and wanting to progress with it, who are we contacting?
If you want to progress with it, just fill the form in on the website. There's just a very simple onboarding process. If you've got questions, then just reach out, and the forum is probably the easiest way to get an answer. If you
on the ServiceSplit forum,
ServiceSplit forum, not the Garage Hive forum.
I can just add though. I mean, we're not part of Garage Hive as customers yet, but as a company that's not part of Garage Hive, even then, it's been such an easy process to get on board with ServiceSplit, and it literally just took, in all, probably an hour over a few days just to get everything on board. It's such an easy process, and it's still easy to open a new tab and enter the details and upload the PDFs. So I'm sure, as from a Garage Hive perspective, it must be even easier to have that linked in straight away.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, we built it to be a standalone. It's a completely separate product, and needs to be easy for everyone to use. But obviously, we have an in with Garage Hive, so we did that one first. But hopefully, it'll get integrated with everyone eventually. So we're not precious.
Well, I'm an advocate for not being there. So, and obviously I dealt with Matt, and he was amazing. So
yeah, Matt's good.
Big high five to Matt on this one.